This video will describe the dietary considerations regarding carbohydrates. There are two classes of carbohydrates in our diet: simple carbohydrates, or sugars, and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates consist of dietary monosaccharides like glucose or fructose, and disaccharides like sucrose or lactose. 20% of the energy in the typical American diet is made up of these simple carbohydrates, or simple sugars. One class of simple sugars are natural sugars. These sugars are present in whole foods such as milk and fresh fruit. The other class of simple sugars are the refined sugars. These sugars are sugars that are separated from their original source, usually a plant source. Chemically, these two types of sugars are identical to one another. The difference between the two is the amount of nutrients that accompany the natural sugars that are absent with refined sugars. For example, a tablespoon of table sugar has the same amount of sugar as a small orange, but the orange also has vitamin C, potassium, calcium, and fiber. This is why it's a good idea to get your simple carbohydrate energy from whole food sources that contain the vitamins and minerals instead of refined sugars. A complex carbohydrate is a dietary polysaccharide. Starch and cellulose are the two main polysaccharides in the human diet. Starch can be broken down to glucose to be stored via glycogen in the liver and muscles. Cellulose is utilized as dietary fiber and necessary to a healthy digestive tract. It is important to note how quickly carbohydrates are broken down to glucose, and we do this with an analysis called glycemic response. The body's blood glucose levels increase after ingesting carbohydrate-containing foods. The change in blood glucose level is the glycemic response. Certain foods will elicit a high glycemic response, while others do not affect blood glucose levels as much. This is important to consider for many individuals, particularly those with diabetes, whose bodies do not regulate or process blood sugar properly, and excess glucose can build up in the bloodstream. These individuals need to monitor their blood glucose levels regularly in order to remain healthy.